than involving just HR staff. However, it becomes more complex and more resource intensive, for example. So therefore, this is the trade-off. And I think the Commission then has to take a view on where it wants to put its resources. If we try and gold plate and say this is the perfect scenario, it will just be a gold plated scenario, which is not realistic.
Thank you. And yes, Marcela.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Gary just said, and I would also keep them distinct. And in fact, and for better or worse, I mean, this is one of the characteristics of this scenario, which makes it palatable to many and also not the exact opposite for others. I mean, this is the defining mark of this scenario, and I think that we need to keep it distinct in this manner because it allows us to pinpoint why some institutions at certain stages might be more prone to picking this, but also show the dangers of it or the threats. So I would be in favor of keeping it and having this actually as one of the distinguishing marks.
Okay. So this is quite clear. So we maintain this with these limitations for now.
Let's move to the next one, Marina.
Yes, the third one. Now, if GIS4R was the most feasible, as we understand, and maybe less desired, Athena-Swan was considered extremely ambitious and with a very high potential for change, but has a very low assessment in terms of political feasibility. That is some reaction at the political level because this is a national scheme from one single country, which would be imported, and because also of contextual issues like Brexit, etc. So one issue that was brought up a lot of times was about Europeanization. So how could we make it less Anglo-Saxon? How could we make it more apt to be adapted in several different contexts, etc. So this was a very general issue. I also add another thing which is more practical, which also produced some negative reaction, was about the heavy workload entailed at central and administrative level in terms of data collection, which on the other hand is also invoked in other ways. But then when you have to do it, it's very heavy, and Athena-Swan, the original Athena-Swan is considered very heavy in these terms. Someone also said that this would be hindering participation, so putting at risk also that participatory feature, because there's a lot of concentration of work for this data collection reporting things in the central level, so in the unit, in the HR, in the administration. Now, these are three weaknesses and threats: how to make it more European, how to make it feasible, participatory, not too much emphasis on data. Should we propose something different for this scheme at the European level? Confused, I know, but because these are contradictory elements that come from respondents. Any hint on this?
No reaction means we leave it as it is.
Yes, please save us.
I don't have a reaction to that, but I have a comment on something else on this scenario, if that's all right. I'm not understanding, I guess, let me formulate my thought properly. So I can finish a sentence. I'm looking at the emphasis on data collection and heavy administrative work risking to feed the tick the box exercises. So your point about some respondents feeling the administrative burden might be too high. So I'm curious if that is seen as a weakness across all the scenarios, because in my view, you can't do any of this stuff without actually upping the data collection, Otherwise, how do you get to assess where you are and how you're moving or not moving? So I'm